So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you listen to this. This is Matchy BD alongside my critiqued partner in crime, Ricardo Medina.
Hello, hello, hello.
And this is another episode of Beers, Beats, and Bailey. So, this episode is going to be fairly short. Reason being is because, as far as new releases go, we saw one movie that we're kind of in love with. Coco.
Yeah.
We saw it and we're kind of in love with it. So,
Yeah.
we're actually going to share that. We're actually going to share our thoughts on that last. But before that, we have to talk about a couple of Netflix shows. The first off being a movie that a lot of people have been hyping up. A lot of people have been saying it's probably one of the best movies of the year. It's a period piece called Mudbound. It's based off the novel of the same name.
Yeah.
It's directed by D. Rees, who is a director that director/screenwriter I've really been following. I know you saw Pariah.
Yes, that was saw that some years back. I thought that was pretty good.
It came out for the Trinidad Tobago Film Festival, right? I think.
Yeah,
it did.
I think so. I think it did. But that's why I remember seeing it. I know I see it locally in a local screen, but it was I think it was the film festival. That was pretty good. I can't remember who was the cinematographer for that. I think it was Bradford Young. Not sure. If I remember correctly. And he's one of my favorite modern cinematographers. He does really good work with digital though. As a young cinematographer, he doesn't know film.
Right.
But he really makes material look great with digital entirely. That's why I'm like a big fan of him. He did another.
Well, you need to look for him on LinkedIn and organize.
Yeah, look him up. He's like a big time because I think he did the cinematography for Arrival and thing. Yeah.
Oh, word. Okay.
Yeah. No, he's real big.
That up. Right.
Yeah. I think Reese, she's an excellent director in my opinion. She really understands material, and her translation of this adaptation, I should say, of this really works. I like this movie. It's muddy, it's grimy, it's quite brutal.
Yeah, it is.
It occurs in basically the sharecropping south of the early 20th century. This is around World War II, basically during the period of World War II. It starts right before World War II and ends after World War II. About a year after World War II it ends.
Yes.
And it just goes through the two families, a white family and a black family in the sharecropping section. I think it's Tennessee, if I remember correctly. I can't remember where it was.
Yes.
Right. And it was they do a lot of stuff about race, black people and white people taking L's together.
Of course,
against each other.
L's, yeah.
Right. And it's basically just struggle and how you deal with struggle, and so you have this fella. Who was he playing? This fella Terminator. Who's playing Henry?
Jason Clarke. Yes,
Jason Clarke. Yeah,
he plays
he's kind of a douche.
Yeah.
Little bit of a douche.
Yeah.
Then you had his character plays his father as Earl Scumbag. We know him from Breaking Bad.
Of course,
and
Jonathan Banks.
Better Call Saul. Yeah, Jonathan Banks. Yeah, pretty goddamn scummy, but again, pretty good in this. Acting's quite powerful. Your boy Easy.
Yeah, boy. Jason Mitchell, boy.
Jason Mitchell, Ronzel, he's pretty good in this as well.
Yeah. Mary J. Blige, the icon, is in this as well.
It takes me a little while.
She plays Ronzel's mother, Florence.
But and it take me a little while.
I picked up on it like as soon as I heard the voice. I was like, it's you. Okay.
Yeah, it took me a little while. I was watching it. I was like, I was like, oh shit, I'm Mary J. And we had somebody from Punisher in this movie as well, who played Turk Barrett.
Yes, this is Rob Morgan. He
Rob
plays
Morgan.
the patriarch of the black family.
Right.
Hap Jackson.
Right. Hap. And they do a good job with simple morality situations. They talk about how sharecropping, you really get to see why sharecropping was a problem and how insidious it was, because a lot of it was very easy to build up debt if you were a sharecropper.
Yes.
It's not as bad as slavery, but still pretty bad.
From a financial perspective too.
Right. And then they did little moral scenarios, like they had Carey Mulligan, who's pretty good in this as well. First time I noticed her, and I always thought she was a good actress, and I thought she was quite solid at this. She was on I think on Education.
And I haven't seen that movie.
Right,
I was in a lot of best of the decade lists, but I just never got around to
it's a fantastic movie. I didn't expect to enjoy that so much, and mostly because it is the subject matter. It's a really powerful subject matter.
Okay.
When they dig down into what's going down. And then she was a girl in Drive.
Oh, right. Yeah, which was a show
Right?
that I loved. It was in my top 10
Yeah.
of 2011, even though I saw the movie once. I know.
Yeah,
Shame on me.
she was pretty good in that. And she plays, uh, she kind of plays really smarmy kind of, I shouldn't say smarmy. It's kind of wrong choice of words, poor choice of words there. She plays kind of the innocent Violet type, a little bit of a shrinking Violet, but she is very aware of the situation.
Right.
Aware of the danger, but she really looks innocent and whatnot. And then they have these little subplots about it. So the downside of the movie, I'll say, is a little on the aimless end, slightly. But most of it, it's because it's such a character piece. It focuses a lot on the premise of these disturbing things happen, and that kind of builds characters of the characters. It set up the world better. So they had a little subplot involving a stabbing, and the whole thing is just to set up why Kerry Mulligan has to deal with bullshit when the husband away now. And it's really dark and disturbing in its own way. Like, yeah, if a man on the farm, some dark shit could go down, and you can't do anything about it. Little simple things like that. And then she herself is not the best moral agent either, but at the same time she does the best. Like she does a very noble lie involving some keys. Sometimes in the film, and little things like that. And again, Reese I think as an excellent director, she knows which shots to choose to tell the story visually, while dialogue is going on. She's really quite good at that, and she's a pretty young director, so I would love to see her craft grow in the next decade or so, because if this is what we're getting now, I could imagine fantastic films in the future, like genuine fantastic films. This is not to say that this isn't a fantastic film, because this is already an amazing film.
Yes.
In my opinion. I had a couple of issues with the cinematography. I know it was supposed to be muddy and whatnot, but some of the day shots look a little weird. Like it felt kind of day for night at times, but it's supposed to be daytime, so it looked a little off.
Right.
So like where you're supposed to see in sunlight, it looking blotched out and flattened. But that's about it. That's not a big problem for me. I had a little issue with that, frankly, because when I was watching it on thing, I only got the net. For some reason, I only had the 720p version of this. For some reason, I couldn't get the 1080p, so I couldn't see this properly.
Okay.
As far as I know, so I don't know what's going on, because I've seen a lot of data motion and thing in my stream. When they see the blacks looking a little fuzzy and whatnot. No, I had a problem with that. So I couldn't judge the movie properly from a cinematography standpoint, but hopefully I'll get a proper 4K version in the future, and I'll judge it properly then.
Right.
But as this is, it look a little weird, but even with that, it still looks strange. What else? Yeah, well, then the John Banks' character is a real scumbag. God damn, he's a scumbag. And there's a final piece with Hap at the end. That's a big fuck you to his character. But it totally works, involving the Bible. It's just a Bible passage. If you know the passage, you'll be like, holy shit, wow, that's a big fuck you, right? Wow. Brutal. But it works, and they get into the morality of things, especially Jason Clarke's character, where you do the whole you're not a complete psychopath or sociopath, but you're enabling the psychopaths and sociopaths with your behavior, and it just because you need to make a profit, or like it took inconvenient for you. You get to see a lot of that. Hey, I could help out this black guy, but I won't, because that's how things are. And I'm the guy in charge, and because I'm a pride. And then, the final aspect of it is the war itself. These two characters dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder at the time, or what we call shell shock at the time. And, the idea that, old people or older folk had to handle things better, and how younger people too soft. No, that's just a bullshit. They didn't handle things well at all. Emotionally and mentally. And, it have a lot of alcoholism and again, the shell shock interfering with how he thinks and operates in the world, and but it has a good silver lining to the darkness, which is there's him dealing with a moral situation, and how you look at the world morally in an interesting way, and they make it work. And then, your boy, there's a nice little arc with him involving a girl in Germany.
Yes,
right? Yes, and they wrap up that very, very well, and they make it work.
Mm-hmm.
They make it work quite well. You see it have a nice little reveal. The ending in Last Struggle was really, really goddamn dark and disturbing, but it was work. Yeah. And again, Reese has excellent choice of shots of where the camera is and whatnot. They don't have to make it too gruesome. You know what's going on, but you don't need to see it, and they must make it work. Involving that.
Yeah,
I was
so
you
still get the effect of it, even though they didn't have to
confused.
show it.
I was a little confused of what happened exactly. But when we finish, I'll talk to you about it so we can avoid the spoiler stuff. They make it work. I like this. I'm going to give them a rating quick.
Well, all right. I was gonna share
Okay,
my,
you
my
go through.
thoughts on
You go
that
through.
first. Okay, so I agree with you for the most part. I really enjoy this. Going into this, I had no idea of what to expect because I only saw snippets of a trailer, so I just knew a couple faces that I saw before. So I kind of got the sense that this was going to be about race, racial inequality, during that period of time. Now, that's why I
Right.
went and kind of assume it. Um, why I didn't expect that it was going to be about these two families, the black and white family. Also, another show that it reminded me of was Legends of the Fall, which was
Right.
less about
Right.
narrative and more about just examination of this family over the years and how their family unit just sort of deteriorated over the years. So I
Right.
got that vibe from this movie here. Because, like I said, I wasn't sure exactly what this movie was about. But then when I understood, okay, it's about these two families trying to get along, that's when it started to hit me. Um, the performances I thought were great as well.
Yeah.
I really love the performances from Jason Mitchell, Mary J. Blige, Rob Morgan, Jason Clarke was great. Garrett Hedlund, who plays Jamie,
Yeah.
yeah, he was great as well. Jonathan Banks, yeah, boy, he was a guy that you just love to hate, but because
Yeah,
of the
yeah, he's great.
context
And
of the
I
film,
that's
you,
the
you
thing.
can't
I
get,
like him
oh,
in both
that's why.
Breaking Bad. I love him in both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. But
Me
he was in
too.
Community for a little while.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, a little
yeah.
arc in that. So I was like, he actually stole the movie for me. He was great.
Yeah.
You hated him.
I also love the fact that the film didn't spend too much time on him because he's
Right.
the
Oh yeah, I
grandfather.
agree with that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But when he's there, he makes
yeah,
himself known by, especially
yeah,
in that dark turn of events in the third act. Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Um, One thing though, I just find personally is that for its 2 hour and 50 minute runtime, there are a couple of moments that do drag. I just wish
Right,
that
a little
maybe
bit.
they
Yeah.
just trim it a little bit.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I agree with that. They could have cut about a 50 to 20 minutes or so.
yeah,
But the thing is, again, all of those extra sequences that felt a little draggy, it still built the world and built the characterization quite well.
it did.
It
Yes, it
so
did.
it's not like it was totally pointless. It did serve its purpose in that sense of building the world. And again, because it's a book, you had to do all of that. The books tend to meander in that sense, while movies need to be really straightforward. So you saw
Yeah,
that little clash in adaptation
yeah.
in the creative process. Yeah, I saw that.
And on the subject of books, like I said before, yes, this is based off of a novel. It does feel novelized. What I should say is that certain things happen and kind of wrap up really quick, and
Yeah.
you can just kind of tell, like, well, yeah, this is how it was in the book. We're not gonna spend too much time developing this character or that situation. It's just like it happened in the book, so okay, that happened. Move on. You know what I mean? So it does feel. I don't like. I don't, similar to episodic, but I say novelized because, like I said, it's from a book, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. Also, too, I felt that, like, especially in the second act, which I really appreciated because we had this great relationship, this friendship, I should say, between Ronzel and Jamie, who's played by Garrett. So both of them being soldiers who survived World War II and unfortunately dealing with PTSD in their respective ways. They do form a friendship, which is
Yeah.
amazing because at that time, blacks and whites and all that kind of jazz. You know how it is, right? Um, so seeing that worked as well, it added another layer to the story. But I was kind of telling myself, okay, well, we had to have some kind of tension, right? Something gonna happen, right? Because you can't have a film or a story set in this time and not expect some sort of racial some terrible event come out of the racial inequality now, and then
Right.
that hits me. I was like, wow, well, I got what I asked for apparently, because
Yeah.
it
for
is
sure.
the darkest. It is a terrifyingly dark moment in the story, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I just had to warn you, it may turn some people off, so just go
Oh no,
in with
yeah, no,
extra caution.
it really, like, truly probably one of the worst things that could happen to somebody. So
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
yeah,
But to me though, it works. It just setting up just the time of it, and how when you think about it now, like when you just look at it from a historical perspective, how just painfully unnecessary it was, just how pointless it just was.
yeah,
It's just a part of American history that is something they can't just brush away. You know what I mean? You can't just add a fresh coat of paint over it. It still exists, and it's brave for a movie like this to remind us that even though we're not American, but to remind us that stuff like this really did happen. You know what I mean? But I also like the fact that the movie was not just about that. It was not just about race and stuff. It was just about these two families trying to get by. And like I said, I didn't know it was going to be like that going in, but then when I really started to pick up on it, I was like, okay, now I really get it, and now it really makes sense.
Right.
So you're right. This is a character piece, and it does work in terms of that. So people expecting a true linear narrative will be disappointed, especially with the fact, like in the first act alone, where characters are introduced and you're hearing like these voiceover narrations from all the characters being introduced. Well, a majority of them, I should say. I got these. Like I got what you. I understood what you're trying to do there. But I was like, okay, it's that type of show. Okay. It's not about two people. It's about the grander picture. Okay, I get it. Okay. But yeah, and I forgot to mention to the cinematography. I actually appreciate the cinematography as well. It is muddy, a lot of earth tones that they use here. A lot of grays and browns and stuff like that. I thought it just added to the tone and the feel of the story. I thought it worked. I saw it in 720p as well, so I wasn't like, analyzing the cinematography that much. Like I got what you were getting at from the color scheme, and I just roll with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, this was a great movie in my opinion. While I do see it being in my top 10, this may definitely be an honorable mention for me. But this is definitely one that you should check out. Well, especially if you have Netflix. I do see this being in a lot of people's top 10 list, and I think it deserves it. So rating wise, well, I had to jump here. I would give this a light 4 out of 5 stars. This is one that you should check out as soon as you get, especially if you like, character piece or character driven dramas, right? If you don't like films that deal with racism, and if you don't like character driven stories, then you probably might find this either boring or just hard to sit through. But if it's your, if you could actually stomach it, I mean, it's not it's not like a disturbing movie from start to end, but it's just a couple moments, like I say, that will disturb you. But still, give this one a look. I highly recommend it.
My rating, I'm gonna give this the equivalent of what you call a gemstone or IMAX more or less.
All right.
A lot of it works. As I say, you more see it in gemstone, and if you have money to spend. And hopefully it could show there. I actually hope it comes down, and if it comes down in like a VIP or so, I'll probably go and see it again. I have a problem.
I hope it doesn't. I hope you don't wait till next year film festival for it to see. It should show it in one of those theaters for a week or so, and then
But if they do that, I wouldn't mind going to see it. It's actually pretty damn good. It's rough to watch at times, but it's worth it. Dee is a good director. I want to see her do stuff in the future. She's a really good director. I want to see her grow. Oscar nominations, I don't know about that. But if it does get one, that'll be great. I mean, at least it might make up for we call it by Visa donations, getting snubbed now. Just total.
Yeah. For real.
Anyway.
Right. But all right. So we kind of just jumped into that Mudbound review. Just had to get that off the way. Because apart from all that too, we also have to talk about season 1 of The Punisher. I finally got the chance to check it out. I know you saw it before me. So we both share our thoughts on that. Also, like I said before, Coco, we both saw. We talked about this before we met up. You saw the second movie for Hey Arnold, which I would admit is a serious story that I just never got into. I'm not saying that it was a terrible show, but it's just never got the time to check it out. That's all really.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned before, us being in love with Coco, and in my opinion, that being probably the best animated film of the year, we also have to talk. Well, at least in my case, I had to check out what was the worst of the year because you know me, I'm a sucker for pain, and I was curious about this one, the Emoji Movie. Like, you know why it's bad. I mean, if you've seen a review of it, but I just had to see for myself exactly what made it so bad. You know what I mean? So I will share my thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen that, but I think I could, lend a little, 2 cents on why I think it was that bad. I have a suspicion.
Right.
Involving some behind the scenes facts with it. Anyway.
Yeah. Right. Now we're gonna talk about, at long last, The Punisher, boy.
Yeah.
Season 1, Netflix, part of their Netflix Marvel Cinematic Universe that they've been doing. We were teased with this character. Well, okay, I shouldn't say tease at the moment, but we were introduced to the character, I should say, in season 2 of Daredevil, which we both enjoyed, but we did come out of it feeling a tad bit disappointed because it was a little sloppy in its execution.
Right, I thought they should have wrapped up his arc fully in that season. So the entire season should have been about the Punisher entirely, because they brought back the hand and it was clumsy. And I still don't understand how these people are just fucking up magical ninjas. How you just fuck up magical ninjas? I don't know.
Up to this day, I still have no idea.
Everything else is good about these shows on average, you know. It's just the hand stuff just so terrible for some reason. They just keep fucking up magical ninjas.
Yeah, like why, dude? Why?
Anyway.
But right, so what I was saying in terms of teasing is that at the very end of the final episode of The Defenders, which came out this year, we got a little teaser for Punisher. And if I'm not mistaken, this was the one where he had a sledgehammer, right? And he was right. And I love how it actually dawned on me while I was binging this show that that's why they had him with the sledgehammer at that teaser. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So the Punisher, right? So in this case, once again, he's played by John Bernthal, aka Shing Meng. Shing Meng. Right. Shing Meng. So this is like right after events of season 2 of Daredevil and after the Defenders. Which was pretty cool as well, because I thought this was going to be another introduction piece where we got to see how he became the Punisher and all that jazz.
And what I like about it is that they wrapped up essentially the first arc of Punisher in like what in the first 20 minutes of the episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they just wrap that shit up and they start the second arc of Punisher, which I thought was really smart and worked for the most part. Go ahead.
So story-wise, so we are introduced to Frank Castle. We see him as the Punisher, and he is taking out bad guy after bad guy, but essentially these were the ones who were in a way primarily involved in the murder of his family, right? His wife and his daughter and son. Sorry. And we assume that this is the end, but and this is one thing that I really loved about this series here. He is still dealing with the psychological trauma, not just because of the death of his family, but also the stuff that he had to do as a soldier back in the days.
Yeah.
So yes, he is suffering from PTSD. The PTSD is one of the main issues in this series here.
Yeah.
So he's trying to live a normal life. He goes to the construction. He just wants to be by himself. He doesn't want to be involved in anything. He does run into an old friend of his named Billy Russo, who is played by Ben Barnes. They served during this force recon job that they did back in the days. He now is the founder. I think he's the founder of this military group called Anvil.
Right.
Yeah, so they bring in new recruits, they train them hard, and it's like, well, they are the last line of defense against threats to America and all that stuff, right? So so Frank is just living his life normal, but he's still dealing with that with that trauma, and then he is confronted through a series of events. He actually runs into this guy named David Lieberman, but his alias is Micro. He's played by Ebon Moss Bacharach. And he is a former NSA analyst, but he has some dirt on Frank Castle. Apparently, Frank was involved in the murder of a particular guy, a detective actually, who was working in I believe it was Iran at the point in time. I think it was Pakistan, right? He was.
No, there's Pakistan or Afghanistan, but the girl from Iran. But I don't think they were in Iran.
Right, but I think it was Afghanistan, right?
Yeah.
So it's essentially this group, the same group that that Frank and Billy were a part of, captured this guy, tortured him, actually recorded the event, and then at the end, basically shot him at point blank range. Right. So a video actually surfaced of this, and Micro has this video, and while this is going on, we are introduced to the character of Dina Madani, who is an Iranian American. She's an agent who works at Homeland Security.
Right. And then her mother's my TV bae, one of my TV baes.
Yes. With that
Shoriak Dashlu.
sexy, smoky voice.
Yeah.
Got it.
And Auntie Ran, and she plays I forget the president name from vice council or whatever it is in The Expanse.
Yes.
But to see her in this was a nice little surprise. I enjoy it.
Yeah, and because they have that that Middle Eastern ancestry as well.
I think you're right, and I think she's Iranian as well in real. So a little, quick little nice little cut there.
Right. There was also even a moment where they do speak Iranian, which I thought was great. Right. So Dina is working in Homeland, and she actually did know that guy who got killed. And she's trying to figure out exactly who it was that did. She assumes, she learns eventually that Frank was involved, but everyone assumes that Frank is dead because we haven't seen anything of the Punisher since.
Right, he went off the grid after
he went off the grid. He has a new alias now.
Right.
Only a couple of people actually know that he's still alive.
Right.
One of these people is Karen Page, who you would remember.
Karen Page, of course. Jason Armour. He plays
Curtis. Yes.
Curtis, yeah.
Right. I love his character as well because he is a guy that he was a former soldier. He lost his leg. But what he's doing now, he's trying to it's more like a PTSD anonymous kind of group. Well, like a therapy group,
that's a meeting spot for them.
Yeah. So I love that about his character. But essentially, as Punisher and Micro form this kind of relationship, if you will, this kind of so basically it's like, well, all right, I help you, you help me kind of vibe. We learn that that Billy Russo is a shady son of a bitch, and he has some ulterior motives, and he even starts his little relationship with Dina as well too, so she kind of getting close into what's going on as well. And then slight spoiler, we realize that Billy was primarily involved in the murder of Frank's family. And now that the truth is out there, now that everyone knows that Frank is still out there now, he's gonna go out of his way to try. Well, he just primarily does not want Frank to get involved in his plans, but because Frank is helping out Micro, Frank is kind of in the way of Billy's plans now. So now Frank is a threat to him. So now they will go. Now Billy and his superiors would spoil who they are, kind of going out of the way to see this guy dead. And of course, Frank being the guy that he is, he's gonna suit up, he's gonna kick ass, he's not gonna answer any questions. That's all I have to say here.
Here's the thing with this. I thought this was solid overall. So I thought, first things first, it was relatively self-contained, which worked.
Yes, it was.
Make very few references to because it's still not too clear on whether or not this stuff is in the same universe as the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, before they were like, oh no, it definitely is, but then later on is like, well, not really, kind of stuff.
So
all of this occurs in Queens, which is where Spider-Man is.
Of course, but that might be a turn off to some of the diehard Marvel TV fans. Could they be like, where's Luke Cage? Where's Daredevil? Why aren't they even mentioning them?
The usual stuff is that you always have to explain, well, why does they don't team up all the time? And you could justify that. That's easy to justify. In the case of Punisher, because he's supposed to be off the grid and he don't know. Remember, everybody thought he died, so it's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
So I don't really have an issue with that. What I had an issue with it is that this suffered badly from some pacing issues.
It did.
If this was 8 episodes, it would be much stronger.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The positives. It had solid goddamn world building, in my opinion. They did a good modernization of everything. So in Daredevil, you got a good sense of Castle, but they ain't building up enough. With this, everything they explain really, really well. They explain why characters doing what they're doing. They made it a general geopolitical espionage kind of shtick, which totally works. As far as I know, the Dina character is invented for the sake of this story. As far as I know, I don't think she's in any comic. Everybody else is, I know Micro from the comic, I know Billy Russo from the comic, I actually don't know Billy Russo at all. Micro I know who the character, but I don't know him from the comics actually. Right, when I saw the name, I was like, oh shit, he's him, and like, oh, what are they gonna do? And then at the end, when they do that, it's like, I know what they're doing, and oh shit, they make it perfect. He's a big character in the comic, big Punisher enemy actually. I don't want to spoil it because
she says a lot actually.
totally is pretty awesome what they do with it, and again, it makes perfect sense. Given it's like, oh, everything wrap up and come to full together in the end, and what happens to him, and it's pretty goddamn brutal.
Oh boy.
The violence and the action, awesome. All of it works. Especially that there's a half-mile snipe, no spoiler. There's a half-mile snipe in the episode 1, which is
my god,
awesome.
yes. I was like, no, but when I saw that, like, wait, for real though? That actually is possible though. Really?
You see how long it take, eh? It's like, wait, he had to be at least a half a mile to a mile away now.
He was
like
close to the border, right? Right. Huh? He was close to the border to get a shot, right?
It real far. He had to be real goddamn far. Like, right? I know
guy was just see he was somewhere close to where that guy was. You know what I mean?
You know, yeah. I know the world record for a sniper is like, I think 1.7 miles or something like that.
Right.
That's the world record for the world record for recorded snipers, and the person saying they snipe somebody. Could probably have snipes probably further, but we never know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was easily look like a 3/4 mile snipe, easy. You know, easy like a kilometer, one click away probably. Like
right,
that's how far he was. That was just real dream. Because it takes so long to get there. Yeah. Somebody can probably like say what gun it was and then tell you, well, the gun is fired at this speed and this how long it'll take, and they might have to take Coriolis force into account. And yeah, I'm a big bubbly swagger fan, so you know, I a Time to Kill, if you know, or what the movie Shooter was based on, those books.
Oh yeah.
Right. So I could kind of tell you like sniping statistics and them kind of shit there. Yeah, this is, you know, just the opening sequence alone had me pumped. The intro sequence, pretty awesome. That title sequence, love it.
Yeah, and of course with Tyler Bates' music, which will be a earworm. That's like a catchy ass song though. It reminds me a lot of it does have some allusions to the score for John Wick, which is funny because Tyler Bates also did the score for that. Right. There's one particular moment where Frank is suiting up, and I was like, yeah, I hear this music already. And I was like, wait, this is not from John Wick, the first one. Yeah. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, just again, all the modernizations of what Frank should be going through. So again, we knew they had to do Afghanistan or Iraq or something like that, not Vietnam, obviously. But then they touch upon a lot of great stuff in terms of like drug running from Afghanistan, like all the crime things, because a lot of nasty shit went down across there, because especially when soldiers started realizing, oh shit, I'm not making that much money and I'm not thing, and then people started going private. You had Blackwater, you know, pushing, and all of that moral implications of mercenary work and that kind of stuff. No? Yeah. And so how they update Billy Russo's character was excellent. Like a really, really smart call what they do with him. If I remember correctly from the comic, he was just more like a mobster gangster type. I don't remember if if I remember correctly, I don't remember him being a military person, but you know, some Punisher nerd could tell me, no, he was this and that. And okay, cool. I don't read that enough, that amount of Punisher to know, you know, the full details.
Yeah.
As I say, her character, what's her name?
Dina.
Yeah, Madani character. Yeah, her character was solid, pretty good. I kind of hated that she was a little too much damselly coming down to the end there. So she tried to do something and she get taken out too quickly. I hated that.
Oh my god! When that moment come, I was like,
yeah, where's your point?
Because there are a few derp moments in this show, and that was a derp moment. I was like,
yeah, a little derpy. It's like, she couldn't like survive a little 2 seconds. She get taken out. Like, jeez, but that was a little fast.
Right.
Overall, I enjoyed this series, but again, the pacing was a little bad. But I'll still put it above Luke Cage, in my opinion. I still put it quite high. Not as high as Jessica Jones. Better than Defenders, better than Iron Fist, of course.
Of course.
still behind Jessica Jones, still behind Daredevil season 1 and 2, for me.
Okay.
But I'll put it above Luke Cage. I thought this was solid. For me, and mostly because, well, John Bernthal is just fantastic as Punisher, and he holds the screen.
Yeah.
You know, for the most part, and then the editing and all of the stuff, the emotional stuff with the editing and his memories, a lot of that worked. For me, everything else was again, it dragged a bit, but overall, I really enjoyed it.
All right. Okay, so my thoughts on the series, right? I made the unfortunate mistake of and watched this on Thanksgiving, and reason is because, you know, down here in Trinidad we don't really celebrate Thanksgiving, but we do, or at least some people do, prepare for Black Friday. So I didn't want to, but I was like, you know what, I want to take the advantage when I could. So I was just kind of going back and forth. I was multitasking basically, checking up deals while I was watching the show. So yes, you are right. There are some moments that do drag, some dramatic moments, especially involving Dina's character because
Yeah.
they really try to flesh out some sort of. It feels more like a police procedural kind of thing because
Right.
she's trying to investigate what's going on with Frank Castle, and then there's the boss
Right.
who's like, you're not supposed to be doing this, and trying to do things on the wraps and all that kind of stuff. And I felt that those moments really drag the story down. There Although this is a positive for me, there were a few moments where it did kind of drag as well, where they try to focus on Frank himself trying to be, trying to be more sociable. So there's a subplot involving Micro's wife
Yeah.
and son and daughter as well. So
Right.
they are under the impression that Micro, died as well. Similar
Right.
to like what happened with Frank as well.
Right.
So there are some moments where Frank visits the wife, and well, he visits her for a reason, right? It has to do with the narrative. Well, I won't spoil that, but there are some moments where he does come back, and you see him talking to the wife, talking to the son, who's being an a-hole because his daddy's apparently dead, and he just can't move on from it. And then the daughter, who has moved on as well, but she just trying to live life, day by day basically.
Right.
Like, I appreciate those moments. Those moments were fine as well, but oftentimes it felt kind of repetitive as well, as they really did drag down the series, especially like in the middle of the duration of the, like, if you're binging it, like somewhere in the like fifth or sixth episodes, like somewhere
In the middle of the middle real drag.
yeah, like literally, like each episode clocks in like about 55 minutes. There was one episode, I can't remember which one, which did feel like it was 50 minutes of dialogue and drama,
Right.
punctuated every once in a while by some bit of tension. And then the ending was just so underwhelming. I was like, what is this, you know what I mean? So yeah, those are the moments where I was kind of going back to Amazon back and forth. So that's on my part though. But the point is, you are right, this does have some pacing issues. It really does feel like they're stretching out the show to be 13 episodes,
it really
when
felt
could've
watered
just
up.
been, like, I know the standard for these shows is 13 episodes, but if you had Defenders this year, which clocked in at 8 episodes, then why not make it 8 or at least 10? This could have been an easy 10, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also too, well, that's a big negative that I have with it. Positives though, John Bernthal was excellent as the Punisher. He is the Punisher in my opinion.
He held it. Yeah, I mean, John Bolton just, I'm sorry, it's like what the best live action Punisher. I mean, he's not saying much because the two previous kind of sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Tom Jane, but yeah, Tom Jane kind of sucked in that role. Sorry.
I just honestly forgot the events of that first Punisher movie which came out.
Yeah.
Like, I remember seeing it in
the
theaters.
only thing I remember about that,
John Travolta being the villain, and I remember that. I just remember one scene where he dies and I think it ends fiery, like explosive, and I think the skull was in flames or something like that. I think that's what I remember.
One big thing about that movie I remember is this fight with the Russian, a guy called the Russian.
Right, who was Kevin Nash.
Really?
I think.
I forget.
I
forget who it was.
I know Kevin Nash is in the movie.
Yeah, the guy was huge, and it was a badass fight. That was a pretty goddamn brutal and badass fight.
I think that was Kevin Nash. Well,
okay.
I think. But then again, last time I saw that movie was literally when it came out, right?
Yeah,
yeah, but and for me, I was just like, okay, well, John Travolta being a villain here, okay, this is a big deal. But yeah, that movie just did not hold up. Warzone, which came out a few years later, like, I got what they're trying to get at, but the violence was just so ridiculously over the top. It was just so cartoonish way. Like,
I couldn't take that movie seriously.
I don't know. I really could not take that movie seriously at all. And no, I have not seen the Dolph Lundgren movie, although I heard that it was not as bad as all that.
I barely remember that. I think I see it once on cable late night, and I was like, yeah, just forgettable. It's about as memorable. It's about as memorable as Mitt from Baywatch as Nick Fury. I mean,
oh right, yeah.
They will hassle for Big Fury. It's the same bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
Right. So
it's the 90s.
So yes,
80s, yeah.
Yeah. So yes, I don't remember those movies, off my head now. But what I would say though is that this series here successfully, nails the human side of Frank Castle. Like, he is not just a one-man army, even though at times he does come off like that. he is vulnerable. He can die. There's moments where this man is on the verge of death, or on the verge of madness as well. And I love the just showing him like that now really brought a dimension into this character that I have not seen on film ever, in my opinion, up to this point, you know what I mean? And even the downtime moments help a lot with that, just showing him as somebody trying to get by, even though he's dealing with all this drama, all this trauma, I should say, all this darkness inside of him. So yes, a serial works in developing his character like that. Because he's not just a guy that will just run up to you and just bash his skull in just because. Even though there are moments where he does. The violence is not over the top like Warzone, but it does border on gratuitous at times. So that's another drawback to me. I know this would turn off some viewers as well. Like, going into the Punisher, you're gonna expect violence, right? But because it's Marvel TV, well, ABC TV, you're kind of thinking that, okay, this is gonna be like some light TVMA kind of fare, but sometimes they do go a little over the edge. And I'm talking about like season 7 episode 1 of Walking Dead level.
Brutal.
Brutal. Like, for me, the gun violence was fine. Okay, you expect that. I mean, as a guy who
he's the Punisher.
The Punisher. Guns are his thing, right? And a knife every once in a while. But they're like, especially in the third act, for example. Yes, I know it's a series, but third act, yes. That's when things start to get bloody and brutal. Not too bloody, not too brutal, but moments where I myself kind of cringed. I was just like, whoa, dial it back a little bit. Whoa.
That last piece with the last piece with the glass, like.
Yes, boy. That's all we'll see. I was cringing at that. I was just like,
when I saw that, now look up who the character is. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, this makes perfect sense now. And it totally like what we know what the character going to look like. Because he clearly more likely going to be, I don't want to say, but we going to be, I don't want to say it for comic people. But I was like, oh shit, that is the character. And it makes perfect sense.
Oh, okay. I got you. Right.
That makes perfect sense.
But there was a couple episodes before that where all I'll just say is where Frank gets tortured. I was like, this is kind of fucking brutal. Like kind of toned it down a bit. But the comeuppance at the end of that though was like, this is exactly how I expect him to react to this. Like, you not get away with that just like that. Oh hell no. But I do imagine like the violent scenes turning off some viewers. So I will warn you going into this, it's not just gun violence, but it's gonna get bloody, it's gonna get brutal, and I would say this right off the bat. This is probably the most violent and brutal series that we've gotten from the Netflix / Marvel
much
TV
more violent than the other.
Thus far. Much violent, but it works though. But there are a few moments where I would admit they do kind of border on gratuitous, but they always kind of hold back just a little bit, but they kind of veer on that edge, every once in a while. Another thing I was going to say too, on the subject of violence, I like how they touched on gun violence, on gun control in the United States as well. It doesn't stop. I mean, there are a few times where it kind of stops to talk about it, but this is not like a propaganda piece where we have to talk about politics and stuff like that. But it's just really like in terms of world building, and that's one thing I love about the show. It feels modern. It feels like this is how life is in 2017. Even though the Avengers exist and Spider-Man exists, we still have to deal with the right to bear arms, and we still have to deal with people who, because they dealing with PTSD and all that kind of stuff, could be like dangerous on a social level, you know what I mean? But they don't spend too much time on it though. That's what I really love about this series. It does not turn into some kind of propaganda think piece where it's like, well, at the end of the day, we need to question Frank Castle's morals and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, it's the Punisher. He's gonna use guns to do what he has to do. But in no way is the show stopping to say, well, you should support him, but don't support anybody else who talks about having the right to bear arms. It's not like that. It just kind of presents it as, okay, this is what people are thinking about in 2017. This is something you should think about, but this is the Punisher. This is not a platform for us to talk about the dangers of gun violence and all that kind of stuff. It's the Punisher. Come on. The performances I thought were great for the most part. The guy who plays Ben Barnes, actually I should say, who plays Billy Russo, was just he's a character that grew on me though, because like I didn't know going in he was gonna be the bad guy, but then as I got to see him more and more and more, yeah, he was just that guy that you just will love to hate. But like every time I just saw him on screen, I was just like, somebody just kill this motherfucker. Just kill this guy now, please. Just hate him, you know what I mean? Because as his character develops and more, he gets more and more shady and just more and more evil. I was just like, I just hate this guy, but seeing him on screen works though. Amber Rose Reva, who plays Dina, she was another character who grew on me as well. Like you know, her character setup was great, but oftentimes I was like wondering, okay, well, they just trying to bring it into the story just because, you know, because of the whole police procedural thing that they was trying to go with her now, you know.
Right.
But they do find some spots for her to be in it, so you know, it didn't take me out of it too much. Her character did work. It's just that I kind of felt that she could have added a little bit more to the story instead of just being this one character trying to hunt down the Punisher. On the subject of that, the guy who plays Micro, I thought that he was great as well. I know a character like this exists in Punisher. I'm not too familiar with his character. I've only read like a few Punisher stories here and there. I love this character as well, but I wouldn't call myself the biggest fan of him, so I knew nothing about Micro. But the family dynamic that they gave him as well, that character depth that they gave him, I thought it worked. At first I felt that the whole spying thing, the spy camera thing that he does was a little, well, not so much a turn off to me, but more like, alright, so for the rest of the show you're gonna just be doing that, you're just gonna be observing these people. But then when you really start to understand why he has to stay hidden, that's when it makes sense, you know, just how the family is dealing with the fact that he is quote unquote dead, you know. It added a lot to his character as well. He wasn't just a guy just looking at, you know, security footage just because there was something else going on as well.
And they explained that perfectly as well.
Yes,
Again, there's another. Well, I don't want to spoil what he was about. But if you know who Micro is in the comic, you'll immediately like his update is also a really, really smart update, especially given all the shenanigans going on with spying and NSA and CIA and all that shit. Make perfect sense to me. I was like, yeah, this is a good update. It's smart.
Yeah, but as far as acting goes, though, yeah, like I say, John Burtell really brings it here. I love the depth and the humanity that they brought to his character. He transcends being this comic book vigilante who would just shoot you just because you committed a crime, you know. There's more to him than that. I love how tortured and fractured he was, especially mental as well, even to the point where even when he is dispatching bad guy after bad guy in incredibly brutal ways, you could tell that, you know, is kind of cathartic for him now. It's just him just releasing all that pain and all that pressure inside of him. I'm not going to spoil what he says at the very end of the final episode, but I love that line. Well, I'm just going to paraphrase it basically, where it's almost like for him life is a war, you know. It's just this constant war, this loud noise, but then when it stops, it's like, then what? You know what I mean?
Right.
And I thought that just sums up that whole character in a nutshell, why he's always so willing to go the extra mile to save someone, you know. What it means getting himself hurt, you know, bleeding bloody up to the point of passing out or being unconscious or even dying as well, just going through all this physical pain and torture just to save someone, or just for him to feel as if he did something, or at least he did his part to help bring down somebody or to help save somebody. But still at the end of the day, it's like, well, to him it's just part of the job. It's part of being a soldier, you know. It's something that he has not he hasn't really let go of, really, even though the war quote unquote is done, you know. He's still fighting there, you know what I mean. And I love that about his character. As for drawbacks, like I said before, the pacing does drag a lot especially in certain episodes, especially in like the second third of this of the series. I felt that there were a lot of like downtime as well. I felt that like you said, this thing could have been 8 to 10 episodes. It didn't have to be 30. It felt like they were really stretching things out. Certain character beats felt repetitive, especially with Dina, her trying to investigate this case as like, it's like every episode just felt like, just some sort of big detective thing now when it's really about the Punisher. But apart from those flaws, though, I enjoyed it. Not as much as I wanted to, unfortunately, though, but I still enjoyed it more than the Defenders. I enjoyed way more than Iron Fist. That's saying a lot.
Yeah.
And I would say I enjoyed slightly more than Luke Cage. I still have a soft spot for Luke Cage because of the modern blaxploitation vibe they had there. But still, in terms of just gritty, down-to-earth, brutal storytelling, with a modern context, I thought that this worked great as well. I love how contained it was as well. I was worried that they were gonna end with with somebody calling Matt Murdock or Luke Cage or some character like that, but luckily they don't do that. I'm glad of that. And yeah, hands down, this is like the best portrayal of the Punisher I've seen, like ever. You know what I mean? I can't wait to see what they do in the second season. I hope that we do get a second season. I don't know what they're gonna do, what they're gonna do next with Frank Castle and the other characters who survive. That's all I'll say. But yeah, this was solid business for me. So I would give this a very light 4 to 5 stars. Didn't love it as much as I wanted to. I felt that the violence did kind of border on gratuitous at times. Just more like Marvel and ABC, like trying to push that envelope, similar to like what AMC did with that episode of Walking Dead, last year. It's almost like that, them just pushing buttons and pushing the envelope. And I was worried as well too in terms of like the reaction to these kind of scenes now. If people would have been turned off by the violence, if they would talk about, well, I think there was one article where a critic kind of bashed the series, saying, well, this came out about a month or so after that Vegas incident with the guy who was killing people.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That kind of comparison kind of thing. I know people were going to use a lot and saying, well, this kind of basically harkens back to those incidents that we still haven't gotten over, but still, it is what it is. It's a TV show, so don't take it too seriously, even though the violence can, be a little borderline gratuitous at times. But this in no way is like saying, well, we're trying to replicate all these stuff that has been going wrong in America in terms of gun control, all that jazz. It is the Punisher at the end of the day, so you have to take it or leave it. So while the show is not going to be for everyone, I still say if you have enjoyed the Marvel TV shows thus far, you're going to have a blast with this one. Just look out for those downtime moments and don't do like me and go on Amazon and see what deals going on. Try to take in what's going on, even though in the downtime scenes, I will confess, not that much is going on. But yeah, I still enjoyed it, and I have a feeling that if you have enjoyed the Marvel TV series thus far, with the exception of Iron Fist, because I know everybody hates Iron Fist, then yeah, you're gonna enjoy this one. If you don't like your violence, if you don't like things bloody and brutal, then stay clear of this one. But by all means, if you love Marvel, if you love Marvel TV thus far, yeah, give this one a look.
Yeah.
Alright, so moving along from live action, now we're going to get to some animated stuff now. Some anime. Not so much anime, sorry, but animated films, I should say. So, you saw a film that I didn't even know came out. This is the new Hey Arnold movie.
Yes, Hey Arnold, the Jungle movie. This is the second animated film of the franchise, if I remember correctly.
Well, and the thing is, well, like I said before, I'm not a fan of Hey Arnold. Not like I hate the show. It's just I never got around to watching it. I was more like a dog. I was more into dog. What's the next show? Rugrats, those kind of things. But not Hey Arnold though.
Hey Arnold kind of came along a little too late for me, but I still followed the show most of the time, and I thought it was a pretty good show. It's actually a lot more mature and prescient looking back at it now.
Right.
And basically what they did with the Hey Arnold movie, they just kind of did a general recap of the franchise, Arnold as a character, and then basically kind of answered classic Arnold questions, like, well, who are his parents? What did they do? And then I think they finally verify his surname. You never really knew what his surname was.
Really? Okay.
Verified to this movie. And yeah, it was a straightforward kind of movie. I was this one was pretty good. Not that long, a little over an hour. It does a little just again, world building, clearing up stories. You learn who Alan's parents were. Basically, Arnold now he gets a chance to see and find his parents for the first time. He was dreaming about them a lot. And what happened is that he gets a chance to go to this Central American country, a fictitious Central American country known as San Lorenzo.
All right.
Basically, where his parents were going out to help out with some kind of Habitat for Humanity type thing, and you learn it was something to do with something with health. Apparently, they are doctors, and it's unclear. But apparently, they have the cure for disease, and they had to deal with that. And then you learn the story about it. Overall, I really like this. It was solid, good character motivation for the characters. They finally settle Helga and Arnold's relationship. I won't tell you how. If you go see it, you'll see it and enjoy it. A lot of it feels a little dated. It's still that old humor. You get the feeling that they should have made this about 10 years ago, even 15 years ago. But still, it was quite good. And then, of course, you learn what Arnold's last name is, which is kind of hilarious when you find out what it is, because it makes perfect sense, because they've been telling you what it is the entire series. A certain character,
okay.
right? A certain character has been saying it the entire time, and you didn't notice.
Right.
You didn't pick up on it. Most people didn't pick up on it. It's pretty funny when you learn what it is. Yeah, again, it's just a big love letter to the Arnold fan base. It wraps up the storyline quite well. It goes basically Arnold's character now is in 6th grade for the first time, and that is what they do with it, because the character was in 4th and 5th grade throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they wrap it up. There's not much to talk about. Basically, it's a product. I'll say it's a product of its time. I really thought they would have done the grown-up thing, and well, what happens 20 years later and Arnold's an adult or some shit like that. Nope.
Yeah.
It's just a story that occurs, I don't know, like a year later from the events of or not a year later. That's like a few months later from the events of the final episode and the last movie that they did.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. Is the characters are back and forth. I was a bit annoyed of how well the story kind of gets a little mystical, and you'll see what I'm talking about if you decide to go see that. I was a little annoyed by that because one of the big hallmarks of the show is how grounded it was.
Right.
At least as grounded as one of the Nicktoons could be. Not my favorite Nicktoon. Actually, a movie of my favorite Nicktoon is coming up, and they're doing basically a 20-year jump. That is Rocko's Modern Life.
Oh, okay. I love to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see that as well. By the way, they basically taking the piss out of Batman v Superman in it, which I love.
Oh, you don't say? Okay.
Yeah, because there's a character in the trailer for it. You see, there's a character called Really Really Big Man, and then they show a trailer of a movie, and it's looking real dark and depressing like Batman v Superman.
Wow.
Yeah. And is Rocco watching it? He's like, what the fuck going on? Why it is like this? This is how the character is. So it's like I'm making fun of the DCU a little bit. Right. Arnold movie was solid. If you're a big fan of the franchise, you will enjoy it. It's well done. It's quite funny. It's charming, and what they do with it is quite good for the most part. So yeah, I recommend it. Probably give it, like, if it's to rate it or rank it, I'll probably give it like a very very high CC8, low movie tongue type of score. Not too brilliant or anything like that. Pretty straightforward in the narrative. But for the most part, it's well done and well told. So yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that's a quick review.
All right. So along with Coco, which we're gonna get to in a bit, don't worry. I watched the Emoji Movie.
Right.
Reason being is because, like I knew that Coco was going to be excellent. I knew this is going to be the best animated movie of 2017 because I've been looking out for that exact for
right.
that one film that I could slap that title onto, and I tell myself, you know what? Well, here's what. I'm going to see the best one. I know for sure that's going to be the best one.
Right.
So what about the worst? What was it about the Emoji Movie that was so genuinely bad? Like
yeah.
What was it really? So I checked out that show, boy. So premise wise, for those who don't know, so similar to better, superior films like say Wreck-It Ralph and the Lego Movie, which this movie I don't want to say rips off, but you could tell they were inspired heavily by the Lego Movie. This one is centered on them emojis, boy.
Right.
them emojis that you put in your texts and stuff when
Yeah.
you're using WhatsApp and Facebook and all that jazz, you know what I mean? And somebody in Columbia Pictures, he said, hey, that would be a great idea to make a movie out of it. And we're gonna put this out here for kids. Yeah.
Right.
I'll talk about that in a bit. So we have the character of Gene, right? Who is played by T.J. Miller.
Right.
He is a meh emoji.
Right.
He's not happy, he's not sad, he's meh.
Yeah, the meta face, yeah.
He is the son of two meh emojis, Mel and Mary, who are played by Stephen Wright, who delivers the best voice in the movie, hands down, and Jennifer Coolidge. Why I say Stephen delivers the best voice because he does sound like meh. He does sound like, hey son, what are you doing? Our son's feeling unhappy. We should do something about it. I'm feeling rather happy right now. And that is his character in a nutshell. I mean, Jennifer does it too, but it just doesn't come off as funny as all that. But Stephen, though, nails it. He nails that voice perfectly. That's like the one positive that I have with this movie. So anyway,
right.
So Gino, well, all these emojis live in one. Okay, so this is another. This is one thing that they never really quite illustrate properly. Is that okay? All this stuff is going on inside of one kid's phone, right? So essentially, right? So yeah, so the name of the kid is Alex, right? And the subplot with him, if you want to call it that, is him trying to hook up with a girl. He has a crush on a girl in class, and he just wants to get her attention. That's the big overarching plot in this film, right? Well, not exactly, but on the human side, that's it, right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, right? So how these emojis work is that there's this big. All right. So first of all, just like in the Lego movie, they live in a big town. It's called Textopolis, right? A city actually, right? So these emojis work day by day. They go to this particular place. The person who runs this place is called Smiler. She runs something called the Tech Center, right? She is voiced by Maya Rudolph, right? And I love Maya Rudolph, right? But her character in this was just so goddamn annoying. But I'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah.
So in this Tech Center now, all these emojis have to go into, like it's something like Hollywood Squares. So they go into like these respective boxes, right? So they have to stay there and wait for the user to start the text, and then once that emoji is placed, they have to do the expression. So if it's a happy emoji, they have to do the happy face. If it's sad, they have to do the sad face, yada yada.
Right.
So they do what they're designed to do. Okay, cool. But then that brings up that question now, if it's Textopolis, does this apply to all phones, all smartphones, or is it on Alex's phone alone? Because everything seems to be in Alex's phone now. But if you have this big environment, so does it work with all phones? They never really address that in the film.
Right. I get a feeling they do the Record Ralph thing, and it's like, well, it's just one point. Yeah, don't think about it.
There's a will, but okay. Anyway,
it's right.
Right. But moving along. So just like with Wreck-It Ralph and just like with the Lego movie, Gene is kind of self-aware. He, in terms of the system now, so he learns that he can do other expressions, and people are like, oh, you're supposed to be the May emoji. Why are you doing happy? Why are you doing sad?
Right.
And all that kind of stuff. And now
he is trying to break the mold, whatever.
Yeah. So he's a glitch in the Matrix. Sorry to use that pun, but he is. And Smiler decides, you know what? Let me just bring out these antivirus bots. Yes, antivirus bots. These robots assigned to find him and delete him. So he escapes, of course. He runs, and then he runs into the hand emoji, who is voiced by James Corden. And when I heard his voice, right, he plays High Five, by the way. High Five, right? And when I heard his voice, I was like, dude, why you, Dredd? Why you? You're better than this. You are better than this. You were in the Emmys, Dredd. You were in the Emmys. You like high society right now. Why are you doing this shit?
But I thought the big disappointment is my space dad in this movie, Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, I'll get to him. Yeah. But the thing with him, and you take in Patrick Stewart, right? Icon, Sir Patrick Stewart. Barely in the film. He just there for like about 4 or 5 times.
Okay,
just,
okay.
Like,
I thought he had more to do. Yeah.
And yes, they do throw these really, really terrible poop jokes. Like the biggest one is, "Don't get sore for me, poop." When I heard that, I was like, bruh, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. 2017, we doing this? Come on.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I forget what's that. Right. So Gene and High Five decides to help him out. So the plan is that they have to get to the cloud, and that is where they could re-assimilate themselves back into the tech center, I think. Right? So they have to look for this particular hacker character, a codebreaker emoji, who is the character's name is Jailbreak, and she's played by Anna Faris, another person who I was like, why are you doing this for? You're much better than this. But anyway, and it's just their misadventures through all these smartphone apps. So there's one scene where they go into the Just Dance app, which is something that I don't have on my phone, and I don't want to have it on my phone. And after seeing this movie, I don't want it on my phone ever. Right. You have this dancer, character in that app, who is played by Christina Aguilera. And yes, they do have to dance. There's a moment where they stop the show and all the characters have to dance to all these really crappy pop songs and all that kind of stuff. And it's just basically there's their adventures from one app to the next. There's one scene where they go into the Candy Crush app. Right. Like, literally just to say, hey, we're in Candy Crush. There's one part where they go into YouTube, and there's a moment where they stop. I seen all these real cutesy, like these there was like this real popular YouTube video with a cat, basically. And I don't even know it actually. I just know I'm aware of how popular it is, but I don't know it as such, because I wouldn't care about it anyway, right? But the worst part about it too, this is not even a spoiler, but there's a moment in the narrative where for the 3 characters, for our 3 heroes, to get to the cloud, they have to get to Dropbox.
Okay.
This is a critical moment in the movie. Them getting to Dropbox just for them to be uploaded to the cloud.
Right.
This is a big moment in the film. And I was like, no.
So,
no. But
yeah. From understand, here's the thing. From understand, you don't have to go through why this.
No. I'm gonna stop here. Okay, any more, and I'll just get migraine. Right.
So I got into So I'll say why it is. I thought this would kind of fail, and I was basically making it. Anybody ever notice this internet GIF or I saying GIF was really GIF or both? Yeah. That's a big debate by itself. It's Steve Buscemi, and he said, well, whether it's "Hello, my fellow kids" or something like that.
Yeah. I know that one. Yeah.
The writers of this is basically that. It's just a bunch of people who just don't get how internet culture and millennial culture works. They don't get app culture, and I would argue there's because the guild nature and the borderline regressive and repressive nature of writers unions in the United States they had to get that job.
Yeah.
So they couldn't get anybody to write about this shit. And I mentioned, if this person is younger than 40 writing the script, I'll be really surprised. Right, that person is at youngest 35. Like, the person just don't get millennial culture. They don't get how young people think. Right. And because you're talking about apps and phones, it's ready for younger kids. It's not for people in their 20s necessarily, or it's teens, right? Mid-teens, younger teens, where they have their phone, they play it a lot, it's part of their life. Not as like, for me, I kind of come a little before phones, where phones wasn't that big of a deal for me. But
me too.
Now it is.
My first phone was like one of them plastic Motorola phones, the kind of peanut shaped one. That was me. That was
like my first phone was the crappy Nokia, the one that never just break and was like, you could basically drive a car over it.
Those are legendary though. Those are legendary.
I had those. That was my first phone, so it was like but for a lot of kids, smartphones is their first phone. It's a good smartphones too. It don't take much to spend. You say, look, you get at Christmas, smartphones are kind of expensive, but I have a lot of cheap smartphones with all the amenities, blue phones and all this stuff. And so for this younger generation, you have to understand how to make the material work. Why it is that eggplants are funny? Didn't get that, but I get it now. I had to learn that.
Right.
They get it immediately.
Yeah.
And this older audience who just I get the feeling that the person, anybody above the age of 40, totally out of the conversation.
Oh well, to answer your question, the guy who directed the film, his name is, let me pull it up, Tony Leondis.
Yeah, holy is.
He is 50.
Yep, not surprised. Not
and he's
surprised.
openly gay. That says anything but to say he's openly gay, right? So moving
right,
along.
But the writer, what's the writer of the script? Who's the writer? Holy is.
He co-wrote the script.
Oh, correct. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So again, it's old people who think they know what young people like now. So they'll just make the most laziest joke and the shittiest thing, and then say, "Oh well, I just slap this thing in the joke, or have this character who supposedly the young people know tell the joke." And then it's like, ha ha ha, isn't that funny, kids? But they don't get that how generationally it's not just what that they're supposed to keep up with, but how you should keep up with in terms of the new styles of thinking and the styles of methodology that kids think of. In some ways, kids smarter than us. In some ways, they're dumber. Yeah. And it's not just to do with age. It's to do with how different the world is, what they see in terms of politics, what they see in terms of the life, what they see in terms of social changes, right? How open they are. And just because he's this 50-year-old guy apparently openly gay, don't mean nothing because you're an old guy still. Sorry.
Exactly.
You die much sooner than most of these people. And you just don't get it, brother. Yeah. I get the feeling that is exactly the problem. And it's just a mess. No surprises, it was a total failure of a project. Because they just do. And in principle, it could work, You could make this work. I think in principle, it could make it work. Yeah, it's a little silly as an app. But you could sit down and make sense of it.
Yeah.
But as I said, if you older than 40, you're probably out of that conversation already. Right. Sorry to see it.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. It really does feel like some older heads who just don't know how these things work, who just probably saw their grandkids just on their phone whole day, just on their phones for like the majority of the day, and they just thought, hey, it'd be cool as if we did something like this, not just to please them, but also kind of like for them to laugh at, oh, this is how kids are these days, ha ha ha. Yeah. But the thing is with this show, like, the subject of that, there's one scene that pretty much sums up why this movie does not work, right?
Yeah.
Now, the context of it, before I get into that scene, now, let me use Toy Story and Wreck-It Ralph and Lego Movie for examples, right?
Right.
Everybody growing up has a toy. Everybody has a connection with a toy.
Right.
But of course, when you get older, you put away the toy. You don't need it anymore. But it still has that, it still kind of resonates with you. It either does or it doesn't. That's what Toy Story is about. That's what made it so incredible. Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
All these popular games, all these legendary games.
Yeah. And they build up over a proper zeitgeist, yeah.
And, they always been developed and updated over the years, from Street Fighter to Mario's. And now you have, Mario Brothers, right. And now you have this one character trying to fit within that mold. Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
Lego Movie.
Right.
Now, I don't know if the millennials ever grew up on Lego,
no.
Lego stuff, but they were the cartoons. They were
Lego keep itself relevant, eh?
Exactly,
they knew how to keep themselves relevant in the smartest way. So by the time the movie came out, to me, that movie was borderline transcendent at that point. They totally understood how to handle the material. Now.
Yeah. And it's something that, older heads and younger people could relate to, exactly. Even if you did not grow up like you and I playing with Lego. Like I used to get Legos for Christmas, but that's another
Lego
story,
old.
Right? Yeah, old, right? So this one scene sums up what made this movie feel entirely, and it's when we see the school, right? Like the school, and Alex is there. We see him communicate with his friends, and there's a shot where you see him. All the kids like standing outside, right? Like just waiting for either class to begin, or waiting for a bus or something. Just outside. And all of them are glued to their phones. That is kind of scary when you think about it. Because what that tells me is like, hey, we're telling you that it's alright to be young, millennial, and be on your phones. Because that's life. That's how life should be. Now, if they were smart, they could have had this thing where, okay, well, oh gosh, this can't be how human interaction is going to be, in this period of life. I mean, yes, I know this is the modern age and all that kind of jazz, but you could have been a lot smarter and say, well, what if life isn't just about texting and emojis and all that kind of stuff? Kind of go outside the box and figure it out now. But then when you have a scene where all these kids just sitting down and they just all of them glued to their phone, which is still borderline unrealistic to me, I was like, this is how you see today's youth? You see
Right.
today's youth, all of them just sitting down just on their phones just like that. No, that's not how they are. You know what I mean? Like, life is not all about Instagram and WhatsApp, despite what celebrities might make you believe. There's more to life than that. But anyway, on the technical side, I felt that this movie was just piss poor in terms of its animation.
Yeah.
Like, it is 3D animation. It is CG animation, right? But compared to like Pixar films, and we'll talk about that with Coco in a bit,
Yeah.
there's no texture, there's no depth to how these characters
Right.
look. They look flat, they
Well,
look basic. Same thing goes for the.
in somewhat defense.
I know where you get that. See it.
Right.
See it.
Say it. Well, they're
It's
emojis.
That's why.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
it's a big budget Hollywood movie, Trent.
Yeah. How much does the movie cost?
Add a little depth now. Add a little cut. No, add a little texture now, man.
Yeah.
The budget for this is 50 million.
Okay. All right. Well, that's
And you have
about.
all these characters looking flat.
Yeah.
We just add a little shadow to the faces, but other than that, all of them just look flat. The backgrounds look flat. And yes, I know it's a digital world. Well, when you cut back from the real world to the digital world, everything does look flat and basic.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? There's all these like excuses just to throw all these product placement basically. So
Right.
there's Facebook, there's YouTube, there's Twitter. There's one scene where the Twitter bird comes in to save the day. That's all
Right.
I'll say. I was like, oh god.
Yeah,
no,
cynical, yeah.
Why? Candy Crush was bad, but is that Dropbox moment where I was like really
Right.
pissed off, Dread? Like, you have an integral moment in this film centered on Dropbox. You think you tell do the millennials themselves, the audience that they targeted this film to? You think
Yeah.
they care about Dropbox? Do you even know what to do with Dropbox? There's even a scene that involves Spotify, and it's just okay. We need to get from here to there, so let's just ride on a music stream.
Right.
Wrap your head around that for a minute. That is the level of intelligence that this show goes for. These basic dry jokes, right? And when you think about it, if they just added a little bit more thought into it, that could have made for a particularly interesting moment. Like,
Right.
let's just see how music streams work. And
Yeah.
that's what I could say about the entirety of this show. If they had just done a little bit more, if they just taught this thing true and true, instead of
Right.
just these lame puns that come every once in a while, like "don't go soft for me poop," the monkey emojis, like what monkey. Like, there's one scene with 3 monkey emojis.
Yeah. See no
They
evil.
they have suitcases, and of course Gene asks them, what are you doing today? We have business. What type of business?
Right.
I'm not even gonna answer that question. Okay, you
Right,
know the
right.
joke. You know
Yeah.
the joke, right?
Yeah. Dumb, yeah.
It's just these bland, generic
These
jokes
humor,
that you've seen
yeah.
already. And the premise, you've seen this time and time again. Believe in yourself and you could be great, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But just without the level of intelligence that the Lego movie had, and Wreck-It-Ralph had, and Toy Story had. Because, especially Toy Story, you could tell that this movie is drawing heavily from Toy Story, right? But more
Right.
particularly the Lego movie in terms of this world. But really, Toy Story in terms of there's these characters being something that a kid would play with, right? And even on the subject of that, you could touch on there's the fascination with emojis, like how that has impacted texting, conversations,
Right.
They
Right.
could have put some more thought into this film. Instead of just saying, well, this is just what's in right now, kids are doing it today, and that's it. Why?
Yeah,
Why are kids
that's
doing
crash
this
and
thing?
burn, yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're old already, so you could have that be like a little social commentary, but no, they don't. It's just all these bland, basic jokes with bland, uninteresting characters that you will not care about, with bland, terrible animation.
Right.
And just an overall experience that I just hated from start to end. I just hated
Wow.
the music. I hated the pop songs that they use here. It's just like,
Yeah,
well,
lazy.
it's Sony, so we had to throw in a Pitbull song, we had to throw in
Right,
this
yeah.
song, we had to bring in Christina Aguilera here, we had to do all
Right.
these things there. You know what I mean? It's just so terrible. But what I would say though before I get to rate it is that I don't think this show really deserves the trashing that it got. Like, a lot of people rip this movie to shreds, and rightfully so.
Right.
But when you think about it, it's just a basic forgettable animated movie. It's nothing new. It has these movies do come out. These movies have come out before. Look, there was the Nut Job 2. It came
Right.
and went. Nobody cared about that, and I
Right.
imagine it's probably marginally better than this one. But this, like that, this is like a throwaway movie. You know what I mean? You see it, it's garbage. You don't want to see it again. But I think it's because of the marketing behind it, and because the people behind it as well too. That's why people really hate it, because people went to theaters to see this movie. They didn't
Yeah.
wait for it to come out on home media. They went to cinema and see it. So I'm not surprised that people like bash this movie to shreds.
Right.
But yeah, in closing though, yeah, this is hands down the worst animated movie I've seen this year. But I went in knowing that, so it didn't really. I didn't come out of it feeling like nauseated or like, you know, pent up with rage. I knew the
Right.
movie was going to suck, but I just had to see for myself why it sucked. And as you said as well too, it's old people looking at young people and trying to, like, hey, what would be a cool idea, that what would be hip for the kids, man?
Yeah,
What about
yeah.
emojis, man? Yeah. Like,
Yeah, here-
why,
here,
why,
fellow
why not
kids.
do a show on smartphones, the smartphone movie, or on
Yeah.
the laptop movies? Like, let me take the character of Asus and have Asus go around the land of laptopless, and he trying to be like they try to service him, like trying to put a new operating system, and he has to fight against the system because he wants to be Windows XP and everybody else is Windows 10 or whatever it is. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just
Yeah,
come on, just
it's
come
how
up
do
with
you
some
how do you
better
do,
ideas,
fellow?
man.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Yeah, but emojis, man, come on. And yes, we could argue that, if they, like I said, if they thought about it, if they give it some more thought, we could have had a better idea. It could have had a better film, a better narrative. But at the end of the day, it's emojis. And to me, emojis are meaningless to me. They're just something that I just slap on at the end of, maybe one or two I might just slap on at the end of a WhatsApp or a Facebook message.
Right.
And that's it. But in the grand scheme of things, who cares?
Yeah.
Toys, I care about. Video
Right.
games, I care about. Legos,
Yeah.
I care about. Emojis, no.
Right. Too meaningless. Yeah.
So for me, this is an easy 1 out of 5 stars. Of
Yeah.
course it sucked. I would say if you want to see it, see it. If you're just curious to see how bad this movie is, why this movie is going to show up on a lot of top 10 worst stuff lists, and it's going to be in mine. It's going to be in mine, trust me.
Right.
But that's
yeah.
the only way I can recommend this show. But believe me, there's so much better out there. Which we're going to jump into right now with
Boy.
Disney Pixar's Coco.
So,
So-
Matthew, are you in love with this movie?
I am in love with the Coco.
Yeah, man.
I got it for the low. I got
Yeah.
it for the low.
Yeah.
But what about you? Well, before we get into that, you just want to fill us in on what
Yes.
Coco is
So,
about.
so Coco is about a young man by the name of Miguel.
Yes.
And basically, he has a very, very big family of shoemakers.
Yes.
And it's established early on that they don't like music for some reason. And we
No.
learn why
Yes.
later on in the film. And basically,
that's
what
not
happens
really a
is that,
spoiler, but it just has to do with a great grandfather.
right, it's
who
the
leaves
family matriarch. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
related to the family matriarch.
Yeah, he leaves the family to
You
pursue
know that,
a career
and
of being
then
a musician.
Coco has an affinity and a love for music himself, though. So
Yes.
he's conflicted with his inner feelings compared to what his family wants for him. And he enters a show, and he basically does something to, causes these little shenanigans in the events of him basically going into the underworld.
Yes.
And it's, the Mexican Dia de los Muertos. And that's where the story starts and goes. And what did I think about this? I thought this movie was pretty goddamn awesome.
My God, it was. Yes.
Yes.
I'll just start off the review from here.
Yeah.
First of all, Disney, I should say Pixar.
Yeah.
They've been known over the years to create these really fascinating films, not just to look at, but in terms of narrative, characters that you care about, you genuinely care about, characters that you will love as well, to love seeing on screen. But of course, the emotional core, there's always something going on emotional that always hits us. That most times most times they're just happy, but also sad as well. You know what I mean? And for the audience, which is primarily for families, this is a bold move. This is something I've been doing for years as well. Ever since Toy Story, it's always hit at that emotional center. And this is another one. in my opinion, one of their best. This is going to be destined to be one of their greatest films, in my honest opinion. And reason being is because of just that emotion that they bring into this film. Like, at surface level, it's about a kid who learns about his family, who follows his dreams, who learns about the power of music, who learns how music connects, how music connects with people, and especially in terms of memory, which I thought was a brilliant idea. But from an emotional perspective, just the idea of, death, the fact that people's, like, in one of the conditions of being in this underworld is that you are alive as long as there are people who remember you, people who physically are alive who do remember you. And just if they forget about you, even like not even with death, but just if they get too old and then they eventually forget about you, you will eventually pass away. You know what I mean? And it's never said exactly where they go, but just that thought alone is just
they get into that. They get into that kind of philosophical thing of what death really means to some people. Like it says, yes, you have the bodily death, but if people stop talking about you or referencing you will truly die.
And I love how they touch on that too in terms of of the character of Ernesto de la Cruz. Well, two characters, I should say. Ernesto de la Cruz, who is played by Benjamin Bratt, and Hector, who is played by Gael Garcia Bernal. Two characters who are involved in music, but yes, they have a legacy, but then once again, what if people forget about their legacy? Then they do pass away as well. And something like just that aspect of memory of just your legacy either staying forever or passing away really connected with me a great deal.
I'll argue that this is one of the better ones in a while. It's not particularly novel, I'll admit, but in terms of the story beats, you kind of predict and saw a lot what was coming, but the execution is so well done.
Yes, it is.
You forgot about a lot of that, and again, when you learn a lot about what was going on with certain characters, you saw it coming, but they did a good job with it for the most part. And this was excellent, Judd. One thing you do this. So one thing I liked as well. You explain the rules of the world.
Yes,
that's a big thing for me. And one of the big problems, this is one of the major problems I had with Moana, is that Moana didn't really have particularly consistent rules.
Oh yeah, especially with the water.
With the water thing, especially.
How the water works,
This I thought had really, really consistent rules about it. They tell you what's gonna happen. They put a nice little ticking clock with it as well. With it. And then they do the legacy and the arc, and then the story becomes much darker than I thought it would have been. It's like when they reveal what was going on, it's like, oh, okay, whoa, was that?
Like that. It is a particularly dark moment.
Right. I didn't think it would have been like I knew where it was going to go, blah blah blah. But then when they hit you with it, it's like, oh shit, that's how it went down. All right. And I think execution matters. It's not the what. It's not the what, but the how matters seem to matter more. And they do a lot of good stuff. I love the little mangy dog. Really good.
Oh yes. I loved the what is it? Diablo? El Diablo. Sorry, I think that's the name of it. Dante. Sorry, my bad. Dante.
Sorry.
I think the dog name is Dante.
Yeah, Dante.
Dante or Diablo.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's Dante. You're right.
I loved that. Like the moment he shows up on screen, I was like, I love this dog. I love how he moves. I love how
another thing I'll say, just comparing it to, because Disney doing the brown people movies nowadays. Compared to Moana, the music wasn't as good. I love the music in Moana. I just like the music in this. It only had one song I like.
Yeah. There's like two particular songs though. One I know for sure is going to be nominated for Oscar. It's called "Remember Me." Trust me, the way how they use that song in this movie will make it tear up. Right? Yeah, it is very, very relevant. Especially if you listen to the lyrics. But I would say in defense, because the movie is not primarily a musical like say Moana was. It's about music, but it's not a musical. It doesn't stop for all these like musical performances. Even though there are a few moments in the Land of the Dead, but still it's not a musical. Hence why the songs themselves don't stick out as much as say Moana's does. But that's the thing. And then again, because they did the rules, they did the world building, and then they did a nice message of your dreams versus your family thing. They squared quite well. Actually, they squared quite well, but they made they squared it, but they didn't square it in a lazy or like superficial or patronizing way. I actually like that. It's squared. They squared the argument. It wasn't like, oh well,
is one or the other or anything like that. But they address it in a really smart and again, they just didn't insult the intelligent and work. And then the big standout is the star himself, the voice of Miguel.
Yeah,
I thought that kid was great.
That
Holy
kid
shit.
was great.
Because
Especially
not
like
only-
his singing voice. Oh my
Yeah.
god, my
Not
god.
only he could be good, but he could actually sing. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow, this kid really
Dude
got
could
that
sing.
talented. He going
Dude
places.
could sing.
Yeah.
And he's like what, 12? I think he's 12 years old.
Yeah,
I
he's
was
a young kid.
wow,
And I was like,
man.
all right, that he's the one who held the movie together. At no point you got the sense of kind of bad like flow or chemistry with anybody else. Usually kid voice actors usually suck at that.
Yeah.
Well, we could have mentioned, our earlier show which was known for its kid voice actors, which was Hey Arnold. To mention that, to make that current link now.
Right.
Yeah, and I thought this movie was really worked. A little cliche at times, but for the most part, it totally worked. Pacing was fine. It did its rules well. It built its world well. It looked great, and yeah, this was a hit for me overall. And there's again a nice emotional, well executed Pixar film. So solid,
Right.
damn good business for me though.
All right. Well, I totally agree with you as well.
Yeah.
I really enjoy this film. I love the characters, not just the dog, but I love the character of Miguel. I loved how how bright-eyed and optimistic he was. How thoughtful he was. He was a kid. He was a kid at the end of the day. He does, he moved exactly how a kid does. Reacts to things exactly how a kid does. And because we are seeing the story play out through his eyes, it really made for a very engaging film, and I was engaged almost to the point that when the certain twists take place. Yes, when you think about it, it's like, yeah, you kind of see it coming. But because I was watching the story through his eyes, when they do unfold, I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So I would confess there were a couple of moments, those twists where I was like, okay, I did not see it coming. But, if I was thinking with my adult brain, I'd have been like, yes, but something was up with that guy. I should have known anyway. Right? So, but like I said, I was watching through his eyes. Speaking of through his eyes, the visuals for this movie though, as far as in terms of Pixar movies, what I love is that with the animation they get better and better and better. This one is a step up in terms of one thing I was very impressed though was just the set design.
Yeah.
Like, it did feel like Mexico now. I know I've never been to Mexico, but I've seen films from about Mexico. For example, stuff from Del Toro and Jodorowsky as well. His Santa Sangre movie, Kronos, which Del Toro did back in '93. The texture, just the way how those buildings were designed as well. I saw that in the Land of the Dead. It did feel very authentic. I love that. On the subject of Del Toro, Guillermo del Toro, a lot of people are gonna make the comparison to this movie with the Book of Life, which unfortunately I did not see. But I'm not gonna say Pixar took Book of Life concept and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I do see these movies playing out as different films, even though they are centered on the Day of the Dead, I should say. But yeah, I'm not gonna say that this one is better than the Book of Life. 'Cause I haven't seen the Book of Life, right? I really need to. But yeah, with this film here, I thought that the world, the design of the world was great as well. The rules that they established made sense. The characters were great as well, both in the human and in the Land that I love those characters. The character of Hector took a little while for me to grow on me. I thought he was just gonna be one of them kind of gringo hustler kind of guys. But then when you learn more about his character, I was like, wow. I'm really feeling this character, boy, especially the reveal and his relation to Miguel. That's all I'll say about that. There's one moment where he meets an old friend of his, and then when a rule is established, that was a particularly heartbreaking moment for me.
Yeah.
And then there are some gut punches in this film, especially when you learn more about certain characters. And the stakes involved as well, because with Miguel's character, you could tell that there are some stakes. If he does not get this thing done, something bad is going to happen. And it's bad for him though that there are so much ultimatums in his adventure. It really does feel like you really do feel bad for him now. Like, why can't life be so simple for him? Why can't he just be a musician? Why does always have to be people basically giving them a either or scenario, you know what I mean? And it's
Right.
bad. It's like, let this kid be a kid now, you know what I mean? So you do relate to him in terms of that. But yeah, I love the characters. I love the world. I love all the story build up. But the last 10 minutes of this show, boy. And I was looking at a particular character. I was like, I know this character gonna make me cry, you know? And while I did not cry, I was teared up. The man tears were building up, boy. I was like, you're doing it to me. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
And then the way how it ends, though, and it's happy, but it's kind of sad as well. It has this kind of
Right.
bittersweet end, and this will work perfectly for parents and children. Like, children are gonna love the end, parents are gonna get, but I imagine all of them are gonna be crying at the end of this movie.
Right.
But because it did feel kind of familiar, like, if you've seen a Pixar movie, I don't want to say if you've seen one, you've seen all of them, but it does have a kind of feel to it at times where it's like, character beats, it's going to go this direction, that direction. But there are a couple of moments where I was like, wow, I did not know they were going to go there. I did not know they were going to bring up this particular team here. I did not know this is how this character got into this situation in the first place. Like, wow, okay.
No, yeah, the big reveal was pretty, like, it was much darker than expected because I knew that's what the situation was, but I didn't know it would play out like that, and it's well done. I put this better than the last couple of Pixar films, frankly.
This is way better than, well, I haven't seen Cars 3, but this was definitely better than Finding Dory. Although I appreciated Finding Dory, and for what it did, it was still kind of unnecessary.
Not since Inside Out. This was probably the best since Inside Out.
Yes, I agree, and I loved Inside Out as well. Yeah.
A nice return to form. It's really, really well done. I'm gonna give this one. Well, just gonna give my rating quick.
Yeah, please do.
I'm gonna give this an IMAX, solid IMAX. It's good that the top money. Go see it there wherever you could get a chance or whatever it is. But that's my ranking. Yeah. This work for me. It's probably gonna make our best of the year more likely. In that list, so we'll see.
Right. Well, for me, this is gonna be my top 10 for sure. While I was not completely blown away by it because it did feel familiar, I'm not saying that because not because of the Book of Life comparison, but just because of what Pixar has been known for over the past couple of decades. But yeah, this was a great watch for me. I really enjoyed this film. I'm going to give this a strong 4 out of 5 stars. This is one that you should experience on the big screen. This is a family film, true and true. But trust me, kids are gonna love this. Parents are definitely gonna love this as well. And I warn you one time, there's gonna be moments in this film where, boy, them tears are gonna be building up. And if you can't hold it, just let out. It's okay. Just let out them tears. This movie deserves it. You know what I mean? But yeah, this is gonna be in my top 10 for sure. This is hands down the best animated movie I have seen this year, without a doubt. And I guess we can mention this now with the teaser trailer that we got a while back for The Incredibles 2. Let's just hope that in terms of sequels, that this one will be the best sequel out there. Because when it comes to sequels, with the exception of Toy Story 2 and 3, the
Pixar sequels have been
the Pixar sequels don't really work.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that with Incredibles 2, they do knock it out the park. But in closing, this is another solid effort from Pixar. Yeah, they just make miracles in terms of animation. This is another one for them. And yeah, definitely check out Coco. You are gonna be in love with the Coco.
Cool.
So Ricardo, where can we find you online, man?
You could find me Persat RMEDDY, that is at RMEDDY on Twitter. Then you can just type in Ricardo Medina on Facebook. You should find me there. I'm like the 55th most popular Ricardo Medina on Facebook. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you could find me on Twitter. Sorry, just look for Legally Black MJB in capital letters. You could also find me on Facebook. Just look for my name, Matthew Bailey, alongside a Legally Black blog official fan base, where you find the link to this podcast here, as well as the others that we've done before. And of course, feel free to let us, or at least let me know, I should say, your thoughts on this podcast here, and also the films that we discussed. Did you see Coco? Did you suffer through the Emoji Movie? Did you watch The Punisher Season 1 without cringing? And did you see Mudbound? Comment below and let me know. Alright, so stuff to look forward to. unfortunately I didn't get around to seeing it before the time of this recording here, but I'm gonna make the effort to watch She's Gotta Have It from Netflix.
Right. I started watching that, but I didn't take it in.
Right.
I only started watching like the first 2 episodes.
Right.
Then
I'm actually gonna binge that, and then after I binge
Right.
that, I'm gonna jump into Crisis on Earth X.
on Earth X,
The
pretty hyped for that.
Arrowverse crossover event is gonna be a 2-night
Yeah.
affair. It's gonna be
Yeah, we'll talk about that
starting
next
from
week for sure.
tomorrow. Well, tomorrow the time
Yeah.
of this recording, and also because we will be in December at that time. Times are winding down for the season finale of season 3 of Bears Beats and Bailey. We also had to catch up on some movies that we missed out. And the reason is because a ton of movies, but we'll try to make the effort to see as much as we can. But one other thing you can look forward to, at least in my case, my review of the full season of The Orville. I know that's wrapping up very soon. I'm going to actually watch out the whole season.
Okay, you're going to give it a chance.
Yeah,
I'll give you my 2 cents on why I have a problem with The Orville, but while at the same time defending the show.
Right.
I'm kind of in the middle about The Orville.
Yeah. Also, season 3 of of Mr. Robot is going to be wrapping up soon.
Yes.
So I'm going to check that out as well.
And
of
I heard the
course,
season is very, very strong.
Okay. Yeah. I hope so. And I hope it's not pretentious like the last season was.
The second season didn't. But I heard a lot of people rating up the second season, so you should be watching it. But I'd have been enjoying it done. So.
Right. And last but certainly not least, the movie, hopefully that I'm hoping will make it to my top 10. I mean, there's no reason why, because I mean, it's Star Wars, come on, The Last Jedi.
Right.
So yes, so you can look forward to a review of that in December for sure. All right, and that's pretty much about it. So once again, guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever you listen to this. This was Matthew Bailey and
Ricardo Medina.
And we are signing off from another episode of Bears Beats and Bailey. So until the next one, take care. Peace.
Peace. Yeah.